Yeah, right. Yeah, when we walked to meetings, you always wore a fedora. And my favorite coat was a polo coat in those days, too. And I haven't had one in years. But when I arrived at Princeton, I had a Montagnard. You know what that is? That was a French Chesterfield, a Montagnard. And a regular Chesterfield, remember what a Chesterfield was? That was a dress coat you wear with white tie or a tuxedo.
Okay.
But the French had the most expensive one. It was a woven wood. And it was worth, I think, new in those days, like $300 or $400, big money.
That's big money.
And I sold it on Witherspoon Street. And I bought a set of twin beds, secondhand, but nice shape. A table, 2 lamps, a chest of drawers, and a little desk and 2 chairs.
For a coat?
For the coat, which my freshman year I had. And then I get this roommate who arrives a week later. And he's at night when we're finishing a lab or something, and I'm taking off my shoes and socks, and he said to me, 3, 4 nights in a row, he said, "You have beautiful feet." I thought, what the hell, beautiful man, beautiful feet. To me, I didn't.
Okay, is he a fashion model? I mean, or does he do photography for fashion?
No, he kept telling me this, and on the way to breakfast, remember we used to have Howard Johnson's do the breakfast?
Right.
A couple of the sophomores would say, "Hey, Brad, what happened? You didn't sleep last night? You look a little tired." And I said, yeah, I had a little trouble falling asleep, because when I fall asleep, I'm out. Until I was in my 40s. I sleep very soundly.
Right.
And then a week or 2 goes by, and all of a sudden, I didn't sleep with jammies. I had one of these Swiss, there's a name for them, it's a down quilt blanket.
Yeah, right.
And I would wrap up in this thing, and I had 2 windows in this little room. And I loved the cold air, because even at a washing, I sleep out of doors.
Well, it's fresher.
Yeah, fresh air and so on. And all of a sudden, I'm really freezing, and I open my eyes, and I can see that my quilt is on the floor, and there's an arm around me. So I flip on the light, and this guy's in my bed.
That's why he was admiring your feet.
Anyway, so I'm on the way to breakfast, and I did say, "What the hell are you doing? Get out of my bed! What are you doing?" And I was thinking, maybe he lost his thing. I don't know.
No, he was cold or something.
The beds were about this far apart.
Right.
So these 2
Sleepwalker.
sophomores, see me again, said, "Ooh, Bradley." So they recommend. I told them, and they said, "Oh, very interesting. You better go see Dr. York." Do you remember him?
No.
He was the college psychiatrist. And you go to that office, and you'd fill out this form with your name and the question you had. And I finally get in to see him, and he said, "No," and he had he wore pince-nez glasses on his nose. He had a little hair and a goatee down here. He said, "Now, Mr. Bradley, I've read your comments here, and I'm very interested in this question, and I have one important question for you, just between the 2 of us, very professional.
Do you have beautiful feet?"
No. No. Because I told
Were
him,
you enticing him this way? Right.
So he said, "Mr. Bradley, are you a homosexual?" And I said, "Well, of course I am, sir. Aren't you? Aren't we all?" He drops his glasses down underneath the desk, right? I'm sitting on the other side of the desk. It takes a few minutes. I get down, and they're underneath, and they're not broken. I give them back to him. He takes a few deep breaths, and now I want to be sure you understood my question. So he repeats it a little
slower,
clean a little louder. And I said, "Oh, sir, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you said Homo sapiens."
Sapiens, right.
That word I knew, but I never heard the word.
Well, this was the first time. Interesting.
First word I ever heard.
Interesting. Now, you can be 3 years old when you're first exposed to it. Or thespian. Are you a thespian?
I was 12.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to be a thespian.
No.
Right.
I was 12 years old when somebody climbed into my sleeping bag in the Boy Scouts. I'll never forget it, but I was so embarrassed by it because I was asleep and I didn't realize what this guy was doing.
Yeah, right.
And I couldn't tell anybody.
No.
It's something I carried with me for years. Anyway, he gets the message and he said, all right, we're going to have to arrange. He said, things are the Korean War had just started. Things are very tight here at the university. but I'm going to see that we give you a primary option for your own room.
Right. That's one way to handle it.
Do you have any colleagues that you feel comfortable with, you might be able to move in temporarily? And they were actually seniors.
Oh, good.
And the class of 51. Well, my best friends were 52 and 51.
Wow.
I had a few in 50. I was 54.
So you were a cross-pollinator.
Yeah, well, they were wonderful. One was Bayard Dodge. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Cleveland Dodge, the whole family there. And he was a nephew of Mrs. Hartley Dodge, who was also a distant cousin. You remember her? Anyway, I move in. I think I was there maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and they did. They had a suite, 3 bedrooms at Brown Hall. Remember that big building on the top floor? Looking, they were seniors. One of them became head of the Presbyterian Church, George Lowry. And he's still with us. He's in Cincinnati. I'm sorry, not George. No, that was his cousin, David Brown Lowry, Lowry. He married a lovely woman who was at choir school at Princeton. Remember that? What was it called? And he then went on, got his doctorate at Princeton Theological Seminary, and he's still with us. He's in his, I think, late 80s, 90s. Wonderful guy. And he and Bayard Dodge lives in Montana, still with us, in his late 80s. Great guys. At any rate, all of a sudden, I get this message, and I go to that office, what do they call it? And they're giving me this room, not just a room, it's a suite with a fireplace, a small sink, a water cabinet, where I could take a pee instead of going down 3 floors to the basement. Whatever.
Sure. Innovation.
Yeah. And it was the tower at Kyler Hall. Remember Kyler? Beautiful. It's the big tower there.
Right.
And I had it all through Princeton.
Wow.
In fact, when I went back to my first reunion, when Camilla was a freshman at Columbia. Remember Camilla? Yeah. And she had rowed. Everything I taught her, she did as well or better than I did.
Oh.
And she was at Columbia then. And she said, "Oh, Daddy, you never go to reunions. Wouldn't you please just go for a day? I have so many friends I want to see."
Right.
So I called the number that I have, and the guy is one of my clients. Said, "What, Bradley? You're coming? You've never come before."
Yeah, you never. Right.
40th.
Yeah.
Just turned 17.
So yeah, you did it.
So I go to the reunion, and the second day, at the they have a beautiful party. God, what's the name of the family? What's the name of the square where Nassau Inn is?
Nassau Inn is with the tiger in it. Nassau Square? Palmer Square. Palmer Square.
The Palmer family had a beautiful house on Nassau where 206 is going down. There was a big property with an outdoor swimming pool that I helped fix for them and so on. And the party was there. Lester Lannon is playing the music and so on. And I'm dancing with Camilla, and all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder. And this guy, takes Camilla off, dances with her, and about 15, 20 minutes later, I get another tap, the same guy, and it's a double cut. He's this nice, gray-haired lady, what have you. And she said, "I'm thirsty. Would you mind getting me a white wine?"
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, let's go together. I would enjoy it." So we walk over to one of the nice little outdoor stands, and we get it, and she takes the glass, and she clinks mine. And she said, "You're not so bad after all." And I said, "I'm sorry."
What? You had a reputation.
This is my first reunion.
Yeah, really.
And she said, "I know. We know why you... Oh, you got Camilla.
Reputation, yeah.
We know why you came." I'm thinking, who the hell's we?
Right.
Right? And I assume it's her husband still dancing with Camilla.
Right.
And so I said, "What do you mean?" She said, and she points at her husband dancing with her. She said, "You came to show off your new wife."
Oh, funny.
And they all know. I still get mail addressed to Marilyn and me.
Right.
So I'm afraid you got that wrong. We're not married.
Right.
She said, "You're not married?"
Oh, you won't give her enough information, so now she's digging it even deeper, right? And, living with this young woman.
Is she living with you? And I said, yes.
Okay,
how long has she been living?
You are terrible.
No, I know.
You are terrible.
How long has she been living with you? And I said,
17 years.
Almost 17 years. And she said, she takes her pinky. She said, shame on you. That's terrible. And I said, young lady. She said, my name is Joyce. I said, Joyce, that young lady with your flirtatious husband, who I know, right, is dancing with my daughter. She just turned 17. She's a freshman at Columbia, and I delivered her at birth. The blood, the red blood, like pouring wine in a glass, like this. Right up, I saw it. That's the first time I'd ever seen it, and her eyes are crystal. She said, that's wonderful.
Nice recovery, lady.
Within 10 minutes, all the wives are dancing.
Right. Now you're okay.
This guy comes up to me, like you, with a nice little beard. You said, Brad, we're delighted you've come, and we want you to join the head table. And I said, the head table? He said, the president's table.
So you got promoted because you weren't sleeping with your second wife.
Who are you and why? She said, what do you mean, who am I? I'm your classmate. And I said, all right, my apologies. Why are you invited? He said, I'm the president of the class, and we'd like you and your lovely daughter to join us at the head table. My 40th reunion. Right. And you know who the guy was who was flirting with Camilla? You ought to hear what Camilla will tell you what he asked her.
Yep.
Thinking
that you were cohabiting, right?
This guy is my classmate.
So where did you meet him? About 17 years ago. Right. And what do you see in him?
Let me see if you can remember now. He was Secretary of Defense for 2 different presidents.
Rumsfeld?
You got it.
Shit. Rumsfeld?
What do you mean, shit?
You're saying that Rumsfeld, the guy who came up with that great combination. There's things we know and things we don't know, and then there's the things we don't know that we don't know.
Rummy and I were not the best of friends. He was a wrestler, I was a swimmer.
Okay.
I had a little altercation with him at the swimming pool when the coach put me in charge, because I spent 8 summers as a lifeguard, including one at that club in Princeton.
Sure.
Where I knew hair catches, I knew water pumps and on, and you couldn't see the bottom of this huge practice pool at Dillon Gym. Oh. And I said to the coach,
you got to clean this up. Come on. Yeah,
he said, we've got to. I said, they're all Puerto Rican. They can't even read Spanish, let alone English.
Right. Just get it clean.
Said, let me clean it for you and see the difference. He said, you mean we can see the bottom? I said, we should see the bottom. You never know.
Right.
It takes me maybe an hour or 2. I clean out 4 hair catches, covered with gunk. And then I see the titrator is not working. That was the chlorine in.
Sure.
Because if you come into the edge of the pool, you burn your eyes.
Right.
It's not working. Anyway, I get it all done. The coach said, Bradley, you're in charge. So I said, well, Coach, I want everybody to take a soap shower because they're all pumping iron upstairs, coming in sweat, and they leap into the pool
and leave
all this junk.
Remove it before it comes in. You don't have to deal with it.
Some guy on the freshman team.
Oh, so you have to tell Rumsfeld to take it?
Oh, no. He's got his hair wet, but he's not, I can see even the bathing suit he's got on, the tank suit, is not wet.
Come on,
and I said, Rummy, turn around, go in and drop your pantyhose and take a soap shower and do your groin too. And Rummy said, Bradley, and just then the coach comes out of his office at the pool. What's going on over there? Like he heard all the noise.
Right.
And I said, Coach, here's the best illustration. He's been pumping iron upstairs. He's dripping dirty sweat. And he hasn't taken a shower. All he did was sprinkle some water in his hair, or maybe that's just from upstairs.
Right.
And the coach said, you heard what he said. You go in there and do what he told you to do and get it done right, or you're out of here. And Rummy said, Bradley, I'll get you.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was all muscles. The guy was,
Right.
Anyway, that's why it was kind of funny at my 40th reunion, because he knows me. And in fact, when I worked with Conant on that study of the American high school, remember James Conant?
Sure, yeah.
One of the schools that I actually visited to evaluate was New Trier, where he went to high school outside Chicago. 5 top schools in America. 1 in L.A.,
Right.
1 outside Chicago, New Trier, 3 in New York.
Wow.